your heart. Tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. If you just believe, 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 believe. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart, 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 heart. Listen to your heart. Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. You just believe. Listen to your heart. 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 Tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart. Tell me that you understand, 'cause you are the one for me. You just believe. 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 Listen to your heart.
Good evening, people. Good evening. I hope you're all doing very well. We're back tonight at our usual time of 10:30. I saw someone in the chat there saying, could we do streams earlier? We probably will start doing streams slightly earlier at some point, but 10:30 just seems to be the time that suits us all. And it was the time tonight that suited us to get on our fantastic guest, as always, Mr. MCFC Daps. What are you saying, bro?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this one. It's my third stream of the night, and I'm trying to cut down on what I do most nights, but this one I'm looking forward to doing.
I don't know how you do it, man. You're doing the rounds on all the channels. I don't know how you're
I'm
not
cutting back,
absolutely
bro.
wrecked.
I am cutting back because I know that after the World Cup, it's going to get fucking mental.
Yeah. You've got big plans for the World Cup as well. Do you want? There's 30 people in the building. Do you want to tell them your plans for the World Cup?
We're going to be doing a lot of watch along. Well, we're going to be doing 2 watch alongs a day through the World Cup. Luckily, I won't be doing the day ones. I'll be doing the weekend ones, but the ones in the week, we've got Mo, who's one of our main hosts, coming over from America for a month. Cass is going to be here, so they're both going to be live in here doing it together. A lot planned, but more to follow on Never a Foul. But yeah.
Love that. People, if you're not already following up Never a Foul and subscribe to them, make sure you're over there showing love. People like Daps, we can't get them on unless we show them love too. It's a give them back sort of thing. We have to show love to everybody in the community. You know what I'm saying? Listen, 30 likes before we started the stream already. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. We've learned our full list of potential Champions League last 16 opponents. Some very interesting ones in there. I know we spoke about on our last stream, I did with Joe anyway, we spoke about Inter Milan, Frankfurt and Bruges because they were the only 3 we knew on Tuesday night. But now we have the full list and there's some really, really interesting names in there. And as traveling fans and match-going fans, myself and Daps, we get excited when we know these things. Where can we possibly go? Who can we possibly face? It's all part of the fun of supporting the club. Listen, who have we got in the building? Make sure you've hit the like button already, people, if you haven't done so, and subscribe to the channel. Barry, very encouraging display from Rico Lewis. We'll get into Rico Lewis. We will talk about Sevilla. I'm very impressed with a lot of what I saw in that game. Jay Millsy, Darsh, Alec, Mojis as always, Kerwin, Aryan, Boogerman, all the main people. Make sure you've hit the like button, people. Listen, Rebel, how you doing, bro?
I'm feeling good, man. I have a few people already saying that I'm looking like Phil Foden, which I am going to take offence to. That's
take offence to?
I don't know, man. I don't think I look too much like him. I think
to be fair, I'm older. I'd take that as a compliment, but I'm older. To be fair,
I take that as a compliment. Yeah.
I think I'm a couple of years younger than him or something. But I think I've too much hair, man. He has a very, very tight haircut.
I wish I had that much hair still. But listen, we'll get straight into it, people. We'll get straight into it. We have our last 16 opponents. Daps, we may as well start with you. We've got Inter Milan, Bruges, Frankfurt, Leipzig, AC Milan, and PSG. It's a surprise package there. No one was expecting PSG to come second in their group. Benfica pulled off an absolute madness, really, didn't they? 6-1 away to Maccabi Haifa, which puts them top of the group. And now we can possibly go back to Paris.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've I was trying to work out who we've played like the last couple of years. Last season, we did have PSG last season in the knockout stages, didn't we? Or did we have? No, we had them in the group stages.
Groups, yeah. I was at the home game.
Yeah, we had them in the group stages. We didn't have them in the knockout stages. It was the season before we had them in the knockout stages, isn't it? But generally, we don't get bad results against PSG. I know they're a bit of a different animal this season, but the fact that they haven't won it, we haven't won it. It's one of them. You can't say they've got the heritage and whatever. I don't think we will play them. I think UEFA will do their best to avoid us playing each other this early. But my whole thing I said to someone yesterday is we know as City fans now, whether we go out next round or we lose in the final, it's not going to be good enough for any other fan base. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're going to come for us, whether we go out next round or we go out or we don't win the final. They're still going to say failed, right? Which is mental because it's a Champions League that they all wax lyrical about how difficult it is to win, except for us, apparently. So I kind of, we were just saying before, it's usually this one, the weather's not going to be that great. So, we don't want somewhere too exotic. We'll save that for the latter stages where we can go there for a couple of days and get pissed up in the sun. I think we'd like Bruges, wouldn't we?
I was having this conversation with Joe on Tuesday. I was saying I'm on the fence, right? On one side of the fence, it's, I want to progress as much as possible, as easy as possible through the stages of the competition. Give us Bruges for that. But on the other side of the fence, for an away day, I want to go to the San Siro. I want to go to PSG. I want a big away day. So I'm not sure what I want more. I want the footballing experience of going abroad and having a piss up at all the Blues and having a laugh and seeing a sick stadium. But we all know that if we play Bruges, we should beat Bruges. Like, we're beating Bruges.
Momentum's good as well, right?
Which one?
Momentum. Getting a bit of momentum in the knockout stages. So if we go and beat, like, if we got Inter, for example, a win against Inter would probably give us more momentum going into the next round than a win against Bruges would. I think we saw that. The season we got to the final, it was like Dortmund, PSG, and we noticed the momentum build up through that. Like, the fans get more, the more beating Dortmund was good because they had Haaland at the time. Then beating PSG with Mbappe and Neymar. I think we have to be like that now. We have to be like, give us whoever, because we want to win this. We don't want to just, we're not Tottenham. We don't just want to kind of luck our way to the final. We want to play good teams. Pep will as well.
I was having this conversation too, and it's a really good one as to what you prefer. I mean, you could go one or two routes. You look at the two routes to the finals that Real Madrid and Liverpool had last year. Real Madrid had, in my opinion, the toughest route to the final ever in Champions League history. What do they have? They had PSG, Chelsea, ourselves, and Liverpool in the final. They deserved that Champions League. Why were they so good the whole way? Because they'd already beaten a big boy the round before. Liverpool, on the other hand, had Porto, Villarreal. They hadn't really faced a big dog when they got to the final. I would like to get to the final, or, as we get to the rounds, have already beaten a big team. So you're not fearing anybody. There's no cold turkey vibe. You're going in knowing I've already beaten someone big. Listen, Big Steve in the chat as well. Good to see you, my friend Big Steve. I'd love to get Big Steve on for a chat one of these days. Steve, he already told me in Dortmund he'd be up for it. So if the people want it, the people will get it. Revel, what are you saying about this whole thing? I named all the clubs there. We spoke about PSG. I think all the round of 16 teams, the first place teams, realistically, we want to avoid PSG because they're the big dogs, but we just spoke about how you might like them just to build momentum. How do you feel about the whole thing?
I mean, I'm looking at it from a different kind of lens, because you two boys just go, I'm purely on about a sit-at-home type of man here, I mean? From pure, hope we get through, you're hoping for a Bruges, you're hoping for a Frankfurt, maybe even one of the Milans, realistically, because Milan didn't look too good when they went up against Chelsea. But if we're on about, we want to build momentum, we want to do this, and PSG have to be top of the list. PSG have to be top of the list because, again, they look, I think Dap said, they look a different beast this year. They look a lot better this year. I think the whole change with your man, is it Gautier? Yeah. Since he's come in, they've looked a lot better, play a different system. They're not just trying to sit back. It would be a really, really tough tie, but again, we're not Tottenham. We'll come out of it, In my opinion, at least, I think we'd end up coming out with whoever we get, so I'm really not too pushed. But again, for you boys, I've actually heard a lot of good things about Frankfurt. Frankfurt's meant to be a really, really nice place, but I say it could cost you an arm and a fucking leg to get there. It's the only thing.
Really?
Well, Germany's not the most expensive place in the world. What are you going to say, Daps?
No. Did you say it's expensive to get when you get there?
I'd say it's when you get there, like the drinks and all, it cost you out your fucking arse, How bad was Dortmund for drinks and food and that?
I didn't go Dortmund. I didn't go.
Dortmund wasn't expensive. I know Steve could probably speak more on the actual city of Dortmund because he stayed there. But I stayed in a different city called Essen, just outside Dortmund. But the bars that I went to and the restaurants I was in, they weren't that expensive. But to stay in the hotels and to fly direct to Dortmund, they were expensive. But listen, Dortmund are
when you have a team like City coming in, it's always going to be expensive to get in and out and all that. So that's like, again, you're probably better off flying to those kind of neighbouring cities. I think that's what everyone was looking at this year as well. If you're getting an away day, you fly into a city about an hour outside and get a train.
There's a part of me is kind of hoping the PSG, I said this to Daps before we went live, the PSG draw, say, a Real Madrid, who also topped their group in pretty good fashion. Bayern Munich, who obviously topped their group in good fashion. Do you not see what I mean? Like, would you not like the big dogs to knock each other out?
But Huey, if they draw, yeah, I do get what you're saying, but here's the thing, right? So if they draw Real Madrid, who do you want to go out? Real Madrid or PSG?
Real Madrid every single time.
Yeah,
every single time.
Good.
No matter how bad or good Real Madrid are on paper. I hate the word. I hate when people on YouTube say it, but they have the heritage. They have the heritage, man. They know how to get that shit done. Any adversity you throw at them, Real Madrid go, nah, we're Los Blancos. We can get through this. We can get that shit done. I mean, we saw what they were behind in the tie against PSG. I think they were behind the tie 1 point against Chelsea. We were battering them at one stage. And they won.
They were behind in every tie. Every tie they were behind, they came back and won. It's unbelievable.
And that's something that we need to build, because I think you were in our chat the other night, Daps, when I spoke about this on one of the streams, where I was saying we have a different level of chest, a different level of arrogance in the Premier League than we do in the Champions League. Because in the Premier League, we have every single right to feel like, you know what, at the start of every single season, our expectation is to go on and win this competition. But we are not Real Madrid, who have that exact same feeling in the Champions League. Real Madrid are thinking every single season, going into the group stages, the knockout stages, no matter how bad we are on paper, no matter how old Benzema is or how old all the best players are, we just have it in our locker. We know how to do it.
It's in the DNA. And that like last season was the perfect example of it. I commented because it was the exact same feel. And I felt it at the Bernabeu when they scored their one goal. The fans felt they're going to score two more. And on the last day of the season, when we scored our first goal, we all thought we were going to score two more. The beauty is as well that this season, when we did it with a completely different team did it in 93-20. Completely different squad. So now we know that in the league, that's in our DNA now. But
it wasn't a one-off. It wasn't a one-off. Like,
no, it wasn't
in our
one-off. It wasn't. And what you said when you actually were talking about that, I looked at Cass, because Cass was actually with me, and I said, this is a mad thing that United haven't been in the Champions League for a minute. If you get in the Champions League next season, your fan base will go into it thinking you could win it. And he was like, yeah, why not? We could. And I'm like, that's the thing that we want to win it and we think we could win it, but it's different to how teams that have won it before really do think, yeah, we've seen it happen before, so it could happen again. So yeah, but everyone knows it's going to happen. It's just a question of when.
It is. There is a certain inevitability, isn't there, about City winning the Champions League? So. I feel anyway. I could be crazy in saying that, but I just feel where it's coming at some point, and we shouldn't be too impatient. We should just be confident in the fact that we know it's coming. We're happy with the football we're seeing. We're happy winning domestic trophies. Champions League will come when it comes. But I was talking to a lot of Liverpool fans recently, or in my DMs and coming into the chat, and saying, even with them being piss poor this season, they still feel, regardless, they're in with a shout of winning that competition. There's nobody in England, nobody in Britain.
They've done it before in our lifetimes. They've been average in the league and gone and won the Champions League. It's more in their DNA. Like, they've won more Champions Leagues in my lifetime than they have leagues. So
they have that over us, really.
Yeah.
It's one of those competitions that we just have to be patient with, and you just have to hope that the players turn up on the day, because knockout football, it's not as simple as domestic league campaigns. You know, you need a lot of things to go your way in knockout football, any competition, whether it's FA Cup, Champions League, League Cup, you name it. You need luck. Luck is a massive, massive factor. I mean, you look at the teams that have won it over the years that maybe weren't the best on paper in the whole competition, like Chelsea, when they beat us in our final in 2021. I'm not believing for a second that Chelsea were the best team in Europe, but they had a lot of luck. They had a lot of things go their way. You need the players to be up for it on the day. You need lack of injuries. You need all sorts of things to go your way. So it's one of those competitions that we have to just have a certain level of patience with, and not buy into the media and the rival fans saying, oh, City are disgrace. Pep's bottled it again. You know, City are flopping in the Champions League. They can't win this. You know what I'm saying?
Do you know what? Talking on Chelsea, the prime example is if you were to look at Chelsea over the last 20 years and you were to talk about their squads and their managers, right? You would not think the person that came in and won them their Champions League was going to be Roberto Di Matteo. Even now, you wouldn't, right? You'd think, oh, it must have been under Jose. It wasn't. So that kind of sums up the Champions League. That it is, it's knockout football. You can have one bad decision in a game, and that's you're out.
Exactly.
In the
And
league,
I'd say the exact same thing about Thomas Tuchel. I rate Thomas Tuchel as a manager, but no one foresaw him taking over from Frank Lampard and winning the competition. He had just bottled it the year before in the final with PSG. There was nothing to suggest he was going to come in and his purpose was to win the Champions League. They were going to give Chelsea time, and he pulled it off. You know what I mean? It's one of those tough competitions, Rebel.
Yeah, I think we've said it a while ago about I'm not sure if it was on stream or off stream, but myself, you and Joe said that he's a very, very good knockout manager, Tuchel. Like, when it comes to knockout football, he is a fantastic knockout manager. He sets up very pragmatic. He has good ball players. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit down and act like he has a great squad. He had a great squad at hand. He didn't. But he has a good enough amount of half-decent players to actually put something in. But we found it really hard breaking it down. And again, that's why he set up with the whole no DM. He wanted someone who could break the lines with absolutely no problem to them. And it didn't end up working. But I even remember when the lineup came out, I was sat there, I was like, I understand what he's trying to do, but this could absolutely do us. And it did do us with the goal. Stones being pulled out of position. Now, I see it back every night. Every night when I try to go to sleep, I see this shit back, like Stones being pulled out of position because there's no holding midfielder there. And then Zinchenko being pulled out. It's actually really frustrating looking back, because again, you say a lot of it about luck and a lot of it about pure skill. That was just really, really bad judgment call. I think Chelsea got the better of it.
Yeah.
Really,
I always think on that game as well, something that isn't spoke about enough is Sterling starting, because Sterling was in such bad form going into that game. And when I looked at it and he was starting, and even when Foden came on eventually, he did create some issues. And it was like, well, why wasn't he starting from the beginning? But look, the thing is,
I think he did. We dropped the DM, if I'm not mistaken.
If he did, then maybe he moved out wide and when Sterling went off. But there was something. Did Foden start? Someone in the chat.
Champions League final, yeah.
Did he start?
I think he did, bro. I'm not 100% certain. I don't want to turn around and say it wrong, but I'm nearly.
I might be wrong, but I just remember when
Champions League final, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
But yeah, it's people always talk about when Pep overthinks things, right? And they will always pick out the only time you hear about Pep overthinking is in games we've lost, right? And we don't lose that many games. Pep overthinks in every single game we play, but it doesn't get spoke about when we win. That's what a manager should do. If you've got a manager that isn't overthinking, then your manager probably isn't doing his job. His job is to Pep lives football, and generally he wins games by overthinking and tinkering. It's just when he does that and it doesn't come off, it's, oh my God, he's overthought it. It is what it is, man. It works for us generally, but
you know what it is? Pep's stubborn and he makes these decisions. And the thing is, he makes these mad decisions that we don't expect far more often than we actually realize. The only thing is, the ones that go wrong are the ones that get highlighted. The ones that we don't, that shit hits the fan for. We go, oh, what the fuck's he doing there? But he does some subtle things in game. If you watch City on a weekly basis, you'll see regularly there's things he does. He puts players in certain areas of the pitch to be on certain players and to attack certain areas that maybe the naked eye wouldn't realize. But if it goes wrong, then all of a sudden you go, what the fuck's he doing there? What's Pep thinking there?
Exactly. That is it. That is it. All the time, like when you see Stones playing in some positions, it's like, what the fuck is he doing up there? But it's just, that's regular. But if that was to happen in a specific game that we lost, all of a sudden it would be highlighted. Whereas we know, that happens often. Stones ends up drifting and playing in a midfield role, ultimately when we've got teams pinned back very, very often, because he can do that. So,
against Leicester, we saw Stones play centre back, right back, 6 and 8. I looked at on the City Extra stream I did the following day with Lewis. We looked at his heat map. Most of Stones' touches on the ball were really fucking high up the pitch. That's not a coincidence. That's not a mistake. That's all Pep's orientated. That's constructed by Pep to do that sort of thing, because Pep now trusts players like Stones to do these things. And that's how you play for Pep Guardiola. You cannot be in a Pep Guardiola team unless you're, first of all, really technically good and versatile.
Yeah, spot on. Unless you're Haaland.
Listen, he's the only exception. Listen, we got a super chat here from Second City saying, as always, people, when a super chat appears, you know the drill. Haaland appears on screen right beside myself, Daps and Rebel. He's pointing at you. He's saying, thank you very much for the super chat. I don't know if you've seen that yet, Daps. It's a nice little graphic that Joe made for super chats. Second City saying with the $5 says, because I love you guys, haha, watching from New York City, man. Big up New York. Thank you so much for the super chat. He's a regular here, second to saying he's always showing love. There's 50 people in the building still right now. If you haven't done so already, make sure you smash the like button. Listen, we wanted to talk briefly on those potential opponents, and then we're going to move on to Sevilla now in a sec, because there's quite a few conversations to have about that Sevilla game. A lot of players, a lot of new things happened. We spoke about that game beforehand, and we kind of got what we wanted, really, didn't we? But in terms of the final thing about the knockout stages, who do we want? Who do we really want, lads? Either of you.
I don't know, man. See, do you want it? Do you want that joint straight away? Like,
If you wait for getting to your DMs tomorrow, Dara, you can have whoever you want. We're gonna rig this shit. Who do you want?
I've had weirder DMs.
So Steve, to be fair, this week as well. Fucking hell, mental. Some people on Instagram are mad. Right. Tomorrow, will we see the whole map? So will it be a case of
No, I think it's quarters and semis in the same.
Right,
one.
okay.
Not certain, bro, but
I'm stuck between Bruges and PSG, because it's like, do we go the easy route or do we?
Two very different sides there, Daps. Do you know what I mean?
Bruges.
Two very different prospects.
From someone who's not looking for a dead cool away day, I'm going Bruges, mate, personally.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But I kind of like the idea of early doors, putting a marker down and going and beating PSG. I'm not going to lie. I think that could be real, not just for Champions League, but also what that's going to say to everyone in the Premier League. That's going to have Arteta shitting himself if we go and smack up PSG. The whole Premier League's going to be thinking, fucking hell, this is business end of the season for City, and this is where we come alive. So I'm going to say PSG. I want to get them out of it early doors.
I know a lot of people like Revel are saying give us Bruges because we think it'll be a walkover, but for me, it's PSG. I'm the exact same as Daps in the sense that I like PSG for away day. It'd be fucking sick. I've never been to Parc des Princes they play. I'd love to go there. And for the fact that when we beat them, I think we'll beat them when push comes to shove. We've got an absolute beast out of the way. We'll build confidence. We'll build momentum. And like I said, Daps touched on it there a few minutes ago. In these knockout competitions, momentum is so unbelievably important. You can't get to the final rounds of the competition with no momentum or having not played a big dog, and you're facing a big dog, and all of a sudden it's David versus Goliath, and you have to get to a gear that you haven't already hit in the competition this year. I'd like PSG, or I'd like either of the Milan clubs. Why would I like either of the Milan clubs? First of all, because the San Siro has been knocked down next summer, and just as a football fan, I really want to see the San Siro.
Oh,
yeah.
That's been on the threat of getting knocked down for about 4 or 5 years.
It's done. It's finito. It's getting knocked down next summer. So if you're a football fan, you want to see the San Siro, this is the last season you're going to get to go. So you know what? If we get them 100% going to Milan, but also both Milan clubs will pose, I think, an adequate enough test for us to get up the gears, get going, and then move on to the next round. It'll be a good enough test. I think we'll beat either of them, home and away, but it'll be a good test for us to move on to the next round. So listen, the draw is on Monday morning, I believe, at 11 p.m. UK time. So we'll probably do a stream just after that, talking about who we've got, talking about how we feel about how the game and all that sort of things. I'm really excited. I love the knockout stages. I love when we get the groups out of the way. We've had a good group stage. We've absolutely walked to the group stages this year, really, haven't we? We had that.
Same as every year.
We only drew really with Dortmund. The one Champions League group game I went to, we drew, and it was no goals. And Mahrez missed a penalty. But listen, it was a great trip. But the group's right away. We're moving on to the knockouts now, and it's when it starts to get serious, people. It starts to get very exciting, and I hope you're all looking forward to it. We'll park that now, and we'll review the game that we saw last night, because the Big Six is tomorrow night, Friday night for the Premier League this weekend. There won't be a stream tomorrow night because I can't do both streams. So we're going to touch on Fulham as well a little bit and see what the lads are thinking about Fulham. But I want to talk about that Sevilla game, because going into it, I was kind of thinking, you know what, I don't really give a shit. I don't really care what happens. Just no injuries. I don't want any of the main players to play. I want no injuries, no suspensions to bother people psychologically, and then, you know, it's a problem after Christmas. Just a good performance.
Same as Walker. It was the same game last year where Walker got suspended, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, exactly. I don't want that. And you know, those kind of things bother players. They stick with them psychologically. Even in exactly, and even in, like, say, Saturday's game against Fulham, say Cancelo had picked up that yellow card last night. Even going to Saturday, there's a thing bothering him. I'm out of the last 16 of the Champions League. I've had a poor performance. I just wanted none of that. I wanted the young lads to play well. We wanted Palmer to play. We wanted Rico Lewis to play. We wanted Esbrand to play, and we got it all. What's your overall thoughts? Alvarez, I think, is someone we need to talk about too. What's anyone saying?
He was really good. I was very, very impressed with his link-up, because, again, he came out with, 2 assists last night? 2 assists, like, he's known for being a poacher, a small little clinical finisher. His link-up was really, really good as well. It can offer a whole new outlook. Like, I think it was, who was commentating last night? It was think it might have been Owen Hargreaves, whatever it was.
Well, I know it wasn't Steve McManaman, so I was quite happy.
Yeah, that was me as well. I kept it slightly higher than I usually would. But he said if City want to go back to that false nine, Alvarez is a shoe in because he has that clinical ability that no one really has. Like he is that guy in front of goal. Other than Haaland, of course, he is that guy in front of goal. He's really, really good in that false line system because he was dropping into channels, he was dropping almost into the midfield. He's a very, very good link-up player.
Yeah. And that finish, by the way, that finish was it was a tight angle, man. Like most people in that from that position are hitting the side netting, and it was very Aguero-esque for me. You'd often see Aguero scoring goals from angles like that, where you're thinking, how have you put it top left from a wide left position? But it was a great finish. I think Alvarez was you're spot on. When I think the last two games we have looked more like City of last season. Now, rival fans for the last two games have said we've looked a bit shaky, right? For me, I think you haven't watched the game, right?
Yeah.
The one thing I think we did in both games really, really well, which was key to our title winning last season, was our recycling of the ball, how quickly we were winning it back. And against Leicester, we were winning the ball back like that. And again, the other night, I think the only thing last night in the first half, I think Foden and Grealish were linking up well. It was all good. We were just struggling to penetrate them because they were playing 11 men behind the ball. The thing that changed it was Rodri. And that's where I really appreciated how he controls the pace of the game. The minute Rodri got on the pitch, we were just moving the ball about that little bit quicker, that was creating pockets of space. And I think last night, the Rodri sub, then it was Bernardo and De Bruyne. And
Cancelo too, wasn't it?
And Cancelo, yeah, there we go. So it kind of sums it up that for me, it was when people say, City this season, we've looked okay, but Haaland's just stood out. And I think last night said to me, nah, you lot are getting it twisted. Because Haaland's getting the goals, you think Haaland's a game changer. Bernardo Silva, the amount of times he's came on and changed the game this season. Cancelo, De Bruyne, we've got multiple game changers. It's just because Haaland is the one at the end, he's getting the praise for it. But we've got 5, 6, 7 game changers. I think Walker has been a big miss for us this season. Massive miss. I think us passing out from the back's not the same without him. But that's a good thing. We kind of haven't looked as fluid as we will do in March. And that's one thing I am certain of. But Rico Lewis, man, that is the story, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is the story.
That's the story. The youngest ever player to score in the Champions League on their first start, with the previous holder of that record being none other than Ballon d'Or winning Karim Benzema. What an absolute night for that kid.
Who it was? Benzema, yeah?
Benzema previously held that record by something like 20 days. He was 20 days older than Rico Lewis at the time of Rico Lewis scoring that goal. But listen, people are talking highly of Rico Lewis. They really are. And I think it's justified. We've seen him come on in cameos in other games where the game is kind of won or it's a dead game at that point. And he looks good, he looks comfortable. But last night was his real chance. And I don't know which commentator it was talked about it, but with Pep and this City team, when you're a young player coming through, you don't get many opportunities. But when they do come along, you have to take them. And this kid really is taking it. And that finish from him looked so unbelievably natural. Why?
Yeah.
It's because of the infrastructure. I always go back to the infrastructure of our club and the way Pep has the academy set up, the way all the academy teams play. Rico Lewis has been in that position, I can guarantee you, 500 times. 500 times.
Commentators picked up on it yesterday as well, Commentators were picking up on how seeing the young players looking so comfortable playing the exact same way that kind of the senior players play. I think the other thing about the goal is, I don't know if you noticed, but I think he became even more confident after he scored that goal as well. Like,
did you see him do the step overs in the corner and taking the piss out of Alex Telles?
Taking the absolute piss out of him.
He is absolutely fucking awful.
Look, the thing is, the one thing that I always know with our younger players is, and Pep said it, it doesn't matter if it's your birthday. It doesn't matter what it is at this football club. You don't get presents. You get in the team by deserving to be in the team. And I think, that can be frustrating to players, to young players, but it can also be, it separates the men from the boys, because if you know that you're getting a start because it's a Carabao Cup and, players need resting, then when you get on the pitch, you're not going to be as confident as if you think, I'm not playing because these guys are starting. Then Pep all of a sudden turns to you and says, you're good enough. I want you on the pitch. Imagine that you're not getting it because the media have told Pep he needs to play more young players. You're getting it because he truly believes. And we're seeing this with Rico Lewis. The amount of times Pep keeps I think that was his fourth or fifth start of the season. Not start, sorry, fourth or fifth appearance of the season. He's 17. Like, Pep could quite easily switch Cancelo to the right and play Gomez on the left, or play Stones or Akanji. He's playing Rico Lewis. And for me, Rico Lewis is offering more on the right than when we play Stones or Akanji, because he knows how to go forward, whereas those two don't so much. So I'd like to see him play a bit more, you know.
I'd like to see him play against Chelsea next Wednesday in the Carabao Cup, because it just looks so natural to him. And that, like I said, it goes back to the point of he's been doing that since he was 7 years old, playing right back through Pep's academy. This whole academy is run essentially from top to bottom by Pep Guardiola indirectly. He tells them how they want to play. They coach the way Pep coaches his team, so that when they do get integrated into the first team, it's not a culture shock. They're not going, oh, I don't know what to do here. I've never been in this position. Rico Lewis has been in that goal-scoring position, I guarantee you, 400 or 500 times. It's just second nature to him. He knows where he needs to be in a Pep Guardiola system, which is why we can have a certain element of trust on our young players more than other clubs can, because we run our club like this. Other clubs bring in young players, like, say, I don't know, Harvey Elliott when he had to be integrated, or Curtis Jones, and, you know, United had that Garnacho guy. Their academy teams aren't coached in the same way the first team is. So when they get to the first team, they have to learn and adapt really quickly. Whereas our Cole Palmers, our Phil Fodens, our Rico Lewises now, they've all been there. They know what they're doing. They're just playing with different players. They know their positioning. They know what they have to do. And it just fits like a glove. It just works perfectly.
I think another interesting one yesterday was Cole Palmer.
Yes, I was really excited to see him play in the midfield, because he's played there a lot for the EDS. And that's another thing that kind of relates to what you were talking about. It's Pep showing faith in a player, and the confidence boost a Pep or a player is going to get from Pep saying, you're playing central midfield tonight, I trust you. The player's going to go, oh fuck, that's massive. I've really got an opportunity here. And that's the difference, because we have a club now where it's really hard to break into the first team, whereas at other clubs, you know, they promote a lot of players young, so it's kind of a common thing at other clubs. Whereas with us, if you break into our first team and you get opportunities from Pep Guardiola, you know you're good. And you should be getting a big confidence boost from that. Mentally, it's going to give you a massive kick.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think Cole Palmer, for me, he's the one that really excites me. I just feel with him, he's got this confidence in himself. The amount of times you see him strike a ball, it's like, whereas when it must be hard to, you know, to actually take a shot when you're playing for a City team with some of the players we've got. I can imagine it's like, shit, if I don't hit the target when I've got De Bruyne next to me, everyone's gonna be like, what are you doing? But
I think with Palmer, you know, I was going to say, I think with Palmer, and I think Foden is starting to learn or starting to get it now, but Palmer has it from the off. He's had it from early. He has a certain level of arrogance. The kid's like, I know I'm 19. I know I'm 19, but I trust myself. I back my ability. I know I can do this.
Yeah, it really does. I 100% agree with you on that. I saw it last season where he was charging down towards the goal. It was in a cup game. I think he had De Bruyne to the left, Mahrez to the right. And he shot, put it in, and it was like, yeah, there you go. He was like, I back myself. I don't need to play one of you two in. So, it just is interesting seeing that Pep is starting to put some of these players in midfield roles, because, you know, with what's going to happen at the end of the season, who's going to go, who isn't, it's interesting. Like, he's trying to get everyone used to playing in different roles and having different attributes and different abilities. And he's doing it at the right time in the season, because he's tinkering now. Pep won't be doing this tinkering when it gets to January, February, March. It will be a lot more. I think he's managing it perfectly. I think we're in a very strong place at the moment. Very, very strong.
You're right. You're absolutely spot on. And I think as fans of City who've been watching us season in, season out for a long time, we can kind of have faith that we will click into top gear at the right time. You know, people are saying, oh, City aren't performing well against Leicester, or they didn't play well against Copenhagen in a game that didn't matter, against Dortmund in a game that didn't matter. We're kind of going, it doesn't matter. Once we're within touching distance of Arsenal or ahead of Arsenal, coming into the business end of the season when it really fucking matters, we have the experience. We've been there. We know how to kick into gear and do it from there. You're going to say something, Rebel?
There was a comment a while ago. I think it's when we played Everton and McAtee came on. Gary Neville, like notorious big man red. Gary Neville turned around and said, "I think this is the biggest compliment I think the City Academy could have got. It's that they look like a cloning facility. It's like James McAtee just looked like he walked on the pitch and was David Silva. Like that's an unbelievable comparison to get made to you at 18 years of age. You know what I mean? Like, getting told that you look like David Silva, you play like David Silva, is an unbelievable compliment. And what I find crazy is McAtee. Now, I'm not writing him off, but very clearly, since he's out on loan, Pep doesn't deem him fit enough to get into the team yet. that's just my opinion now. Hopefully I'm dead wrong. I'd love to see McAtee get some time. I think he's a fantastic player, but having that level of compliment from someone who has a good stature in football is crazy to me, especially when Pep gets the label of, oh, he doesn't play youth, or City are just like, oh, City buy the league. That's not how it works anymore. That's not how it works. You see Foden, one of our most important players, he's from the academy. Palmer looks unbelievable from the academy. A lot of players that we sold this season for big money have come from our academy. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
we've got a great academy. We've got one of the better academies in football now, which is wild.
I think the way we're doing it might be right. That, look, we're selling these players with buyback clauses. It's the perfect balance of business and football. That we're letting them go out and get Premier League experience now with a buyback clause. That, all right, it might be a bit of money, but it's less than. I mean, if you look at Lavia, right, 40 million, which is a lot. But if you look at players in that position, you know, Declan Rice is what, 120? People are saying that if we could get him back for 40 million, that's good business. The fact that we've got some money for him, and we probably will also have a sell-on clause as well in that as well, is that it's good. It's a good balance. Do you know what? If this guy is actually as good as we think, we're still going to get him back for a nice amount. I think we're balancing it well, but the ones that Pep truly believes in, he's keeping close. Like, and that's where I think Rico Lewis just must. Pep's spoken him. I think he's got a bright future, very, very bright. Will he be the Walker long-term replacement? That's the question.
I think that's something Pep's got in mind for sure. Listen, I just want to say really quickly while we're still talking, there's nearly 80 people in the building right now. If you haven't done so, we're only on about 55 likes. So if you haven't smashed the like button already, make sure you hit the like button. It helps the channel massively. It helps the channel get out to more people. And of course, subscribe if you're new. We're trying to hit 5K as soon as possible. And of course, as always, make sure you go and show love to Daps over at Never a Foul. They're in the title of the stream. Go and show love to Never a Foul. They're always streaming. What is it, 2-3 times a day now? They've got a serious team over there, always pumping out the best content you can ask for people. Go and show love to him. And yeah, hit the like button on the stream. It massively helps. I want to get back to our front three essentially, because I think Grealish, Alvarez and Mahrez all had very different games. I was really disappointed in a way when Grealish got taken off, because I thought this was a great opportunity for Grealish to get more minutes, maybe get himself a goal, but I also understand why he was taken off, because you're absolutely right when you said Rodri came on and added a different dynamic to our game, a dynamic that wasn't already there, a team that was being really congested, you know, a low block kind of thing. We needed a great pass of the ball to pull the strings, and we saw that with Kevin De Bruyne too. What were your thoughts on, I suppose, Jack Grealish, and how have you analysed? I know you've only been on the channel once, so how have you analysed Jack Grealish so far this season?
I think he's been one of our best players. Look, I said on the stream earlier on with an Arsenal fan, we were talking about Jesus, and he was saying his one issue with Jesus is his clinicalness, and I was shaking my head saying, look, you're top of the league, right? Your team is scoring more goals than you scored last season, and it's because of this man. Like, now you're focusing on that he's not clinical enough, but here's the reason you are where you are. The only fan bases that are focusing on how many goals Jesus has scored is fan bases that are jealous of you at the moment. And I said that the only person that can answer questions about players like Jesus, players like Grealish, are the managers. Why did you buy him for, right? Like with Jesus. If Jesus was bought just to get Arsenal goals, I get it. I don't believe Arteta bought Jesus for that. Arteta bought Jesus because he knows exactly what he brings to a team, right? Same with Grealish. Grealish is not going to keep getting started by Pep. He's not going to be subbed off because, you know, Pep wants to save him for the weekend. Pep is playing him because this man creates space for our amazing. He creates space for De Bruyne. He creates space for Mahrez. He creates space for everyone else by drawing in 3-4 players to him. Like, do you know how important that is? If he can bring players away from De Bruyne to give De Bruyne an extra 2 seconds to whip a ball into Haaland, do you know how important that is? It's frustrating when people say, do I wish he got more goals and assists? Well, of course I do. I wish Edison got more goals, right? That's a stupid question. But that's not what he's there for. That is not what he's there for. He's having a great season. And I just wish fucking GA was not a thing. I really do. Really, really do.
You know what it is? Whenever I'm on, I get a lot of stick about Grealish on all the shows I'm on. The Big Six, any channel I go on, people are always saying, how can you justify Jack Grealish £100 million? Look at his stats, look at his output. It's not good enough. It's not a £100 million player. Look at this player, comparing him to that player. And I'm going, hang on, pause for a second. Football is not specifically about G&A. It's not about stats. Football is a team game. It's about different contributions from different types of players that all add up to a successfully running machine. Is what Manchester City is? Everybody has a different role. Everybody has a different place in the team. You're spot on. Why does Pep pick Grealish on a consistent basis? Because he feels Grealish is doing his role perfectly. Why are opposition doubling and tripling up on Jack Grealish every single week if he's not a scary player? If he's a player that can't punish, why are they doubling and tripling up on Jack Grealish? And that's why people like Haaland, people like Foden's output this season has improved massively. Why? Yeah. Because they're so consumed with Jack Grealish over the far side. Phil Foden's able to make those back post runs. I think people need to, I say this every stream, the regular viewers of the 1894 will know, I always say, put some more respect on Jack Grealish. Don't listen to people talking about he needs more goals, he needs more assists. He spoke about it himself. He speaks about it regularly. He says, at Villa, in my last 2 seasons, I scored 6 goals in each season. I was never a banger of a goal scorer.
Exactly.
So I don't know what people were expecting, me to come to City and bang 25, 30 goals. That's not my role in the team. Pep has a specific, unique role, a very unrewarding role Jack Grealish plays. Really unrewarding. He does a lot of dirty work. If you watch Jack Grealish, he tracks back, he puts in challenges, he chases attackers, and he makes driving runs going forward. It's not rewarding. It's not pretty.
Well, the other day when De Bruyne scored the free kick, I was like, does Grealish get the assist for the foul?
Bro, people were saying to me after the Leicester game, Jack Grealish isn't good enough. And I said, we won that game 1-0, and who won the free kick? Jack Grealish.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the more and more I see of him, the more I do see that he could be a Bernardo Silva replacement. He hasn't got the dog that Bernardo Silva has got in him, but his ball carrying's insane. It really fucking is, man. Like, the way he creates the yards, he draws people in. I'm sorry, I'll go back to it. For players to put perfect passes in, they need space, right? We saw how many great balls did Foden put in yesterday, by the way, as well. Actually, Foden's crossings really improved. But it's Grealish that's creating players space and time, which is so important when you are trying to break down a low block team. You have to pull players out of position, and that's what Grealish is doing. He's making these runs across the defenders, pulling people out, but it's frustrating. The fact is, unless you're a City fan, not many teams watch us. So all they do is they do a quick watch. Right, who scored and who's got the assist? Right, no Grealish, perfect. There's my ammunition for City fans. Fuck the fact that City won 4-0. They've got their ammunition for City fans. Grealish didn't get a goal or assist, and that's it.
It's just something to pick at, really, isn't it? When there's really nothing to give out about, they find the smallest things and target the player who does the most unrewarding work and have a go at him. It's an annoying one for Jack Grealish. Have you any thoughts, Rebel?
Yeah, I want to circle back kind of to what Dap said in the Jesus conversation, because he's dead fucking right. You think about what Arsenal had last season up front. Was it Lacazette and Aubameyang for like half the year? Aubameyang fucked off halfway through the year. There was on their day, decent target men, fine, whatever. They are missing that link up that Jesus provides. That's where Arsenal are getting the goals from this season. Do you think, like, I presume Martinelli's already outperforming what he got? Do you think he does that with a Jesus beside him? Like, Jesus is a very frustrating player from our point of view. Like, when he was here, I think we're more than happy to say he was a frustrating player, but a good player. He was a great servant, a good player. Very frustrating because he just didn't have it to lead the line. He wasn't a number 9, not a proper striker. He was the man to drop into the channel, not what we needed. But now you're seeing him at Arsenal. He's shining. He's getting all the fantasy points. He's getting all the praise and all that. He's getting a lump on him. That's because he is a vital cog in that Arteta machine. That Arteta machine, that's top of the league. That's out of the group, and that's gotten out of the group in Europe. He's huge for them. He's really, really big for them. You see now, let's say, God forbid, he goes and gets injured for a few weeks, you'll see a different Arsenal. Like, if you want to see a difference, have a look at any time Eddie Nketiah has stepped foot on a pitch. He doesn't have the same thing as Jesus. It's not even that he's just not as good enough. He doesn't have the same link up. He just doesn't have the same involvement in that team, and that's what Jesus brings to a team. It's what he brought to us.
Do you know, I feel like if Jesus wasn't Brazilian, he'd be spoke about differently. Because he's Brazilian, there's a certain expectation of his style of play, right? If he was, I don't know, German or something like that, people would appreciate, because they'd see, you know what, this guy, what he offers to the overall team. But it's just, I feel like with Brazilians, people want this flair player, want this goal scorer. And it's like, that isn't Jesus. That, you know, you don't stay at Manchester City for this long. You don't have Pep consistently resting you in games so that you're playing against Real Madrid, so that you're playing against Liverpool. He was so important to us, man. I'm a massive Jesus fan, by the way, massive Jesus fan. Just because his work rate and the fact he never moans. Like, imagine Brazilians that you know, some of them come over here and they do moan if they don't play. And he's been over here as a young kid, and we've never heard anything out of the guy. The guy just put a shift in for our club. So, look, I just hope he gets in that Brazil team, man. I really do. Over Richarlison, over, you know what, over anyone. I'm a massive Jesus fan.
He's better than Richarlison. He's miles better than
Richarlison, 100%.
Like, Richarlison's a good player, but Jesus is just like that much better than him. And that could be a bit of, you know, former player bias and the fact
I think that's why Arteta bought him. Look, the thing is, you watch any player's interview for Man City, Haaland can score 3 goals. One of the first things he'll say is, look, it's not about my goals, it's about the team winning. That is what Pep and Arteta's got that. It's not about individual players. It's about the team winning, because the season for City is what, 70 games a season?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have to put a shift in for the club, not for yourself. And
that's kind of why we have the depth we do now, because you need players after the starting 11 who can come in and contribute the way the starting 11 players do. And listen, I'm not really the same as you in the sense that I don't think I loved Jesus the same way you did. He frustrated the life out of me at times, because if you remember back to the seasons where we were playing false 9, we were all so eager. We were all edging for a player that was just a bagsman. We were edging for that kind of Haaland-esque player or an Alvarez player who you could look at and go, he's a goal machine. We never looked at Jesus like he's the goal machine. He's the guy you look at who's going to score goals. Even though he did score some massive goals, I will never take that away from Jesus. But I still appreciated what he did offer to the team, and that was relentless work rate, high pressing, pace, energy, skill, and he would also chip in with goals. So I have massive appreciation for him. I just think it was the right time for him to move on. And I don't know. I don't do enough content with Arsenal fans. Maybe you could tell me a bit more about this, Daps, what they were expecting from Jesus. Were they expecting a goal machine? Because I remember saying to some Arsenal fans back then, don't be expecting a goal machine. Expect a player who will contribute in many different ways, but his sole purpose is not to be on the pitch to score a bag load of goals, even though he will probably get more at Arsenal than he did at City.
You know what? It was, you know what? They at first, when they first started getting linked with him, some of the comparisons, there was one channel that I went on because I got asked to go on and talk about him. Speaking about him, I left because I think they were moving on. And so left the stream, but carried on watching it. And this Arsenal fan joined after me. And the disrespect on Jesus was so bad. I think he was saying Maitland-Niles is better than Jesus, right? If Maitland-Niles was at City, he'd do more for City than Jesus would. At that point, I messaged the person whose channel it was saying, because you've allowed him to come on your channel, I'm never coming on again. That fucking disrespect. But they'd asked me about goals. Will he get 15 goals a season? And I was like, I can't tell you, because, you know, when he landed at City, he scored 8 in 11. Then he got injured, first ever big injury. And then after that, it was never really a run of games because Aguero got his form back. And, you know, he was always playing second fiddle to Aguero. So I was like, I don't know, but your output will go up. His runs are insane, his work rate, his pressing. And now you see it. He's changed that. Well, not him single-handedly, but it's massive for them. I think ultimately, the whole thing, it's like Grealish. There are players that do more than goals and assists. That's the be-all and end-all of it. Football is not a GA game.
I think Pep really appreciated Jesus, but he wanted something a little bit more, just a teeny bit more than what Jesus was giving. And that's why it was his time to go. I think Pep was crying out for an absolute finisher, someone like Erling Haaland, someone like Julian Alvarez, and that just wasn't Jesus. He needed to go somewhere where he was going to be fully loved for what he does give to the team, and he wasn't going to get that at Manchester City, I don't think.
No. I think Alvarez is, when we speak on Alvarez, it's like he's come in and he presses like Jesus. You know, he can drop deep. He makes those runs. He's one of those players that he's doing it for the team as well. But the difference is, we've already seen it. If you look at most of his goals this season, they're very clinical, very, very clinical. There was one against, was it against?
Forest?
Might have been against Forest, I think.
Yeah,
was it against Forest?
That's the only Premier League goals he has, I think.
Yeah, right, against Forest. And if you see it, there's so many players that would have leaned back and put it way over the bar. The position of his body to make sure he kept the ball down was amazing. And while he was running as well, it was very, very technically good. I think he can go on and be really clinical, but he suits this City team as well. He's really like a hybrid of Tevez and fucking Aguero.
I think he's very raw when it comes to the pressing, because when he's pressing, he tends to come out with a book and he tends to just go that little bit further. Like, you know what I mean? I think under a bit more tutelage, a little bit more like breathe this into him, he'd be great. Because Jesus is, in fairness to him, very rarely came out with a yellow card for the amount of hard work and pressing he did.
True.
The fact that he didn't come out with more yellow cards is baffling to me. But Alvarez has that little thing in him where he might just leave a foot in, and then next thing you know, it's free out. They get control of the ball. He's he's got the tenacity about him. I think you use the term, he's got that dog in him. He has got that fucking dog in him. He's a hard worker, and you know what, for the moment, from what we're looking at, considering he has more goals than Jesus this season, he seems to be that bit more clinical, and he's not starting week in, week out, which is crazy.
That's exactly it.
Does he start for Argentina, by the way?
He does, yeah. He's absolutely loved. They absolutely love Alvarez in Argentina, and I can see why. I was going to say there, I think there's a lot of Gabriel Jesus in Julian Alvarez, but Alvarez is that little bit more clinical. I mean, I don't know if you guys see the compilation on Twitter and Instagram doing the rounds on social media of all the chances Kevin De Bruyne created for both Jesus and Sterling over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, and there's some of them I was looking at, and it was like revisiting really bad memories. I was like, how has he missed that? How has he missed that? And all I could think was, put Haaland there, every single one's a goal. Put Alvarez there, I think 90% of them are goals. And I think that's what Pep wanted. When he brought in Haaland, he was bringing in a player we haven't had before. A really unique player that we've never had before, a whole different dynamic, a whole different option. But when he brought in Alvarez, he was bringing in someone who has a lot of what we've already had before, but that little bit more X factor. Or at least he can grow into that little bit more X factor, because he's still so young and raw. And we speak about this a lot on our channel about when we're defending Alvarez, how he's just off the back of a whole season with River Plate. Their calendar runs at a different time to us. So he's come from one continent to the next, one season to the next, straight away, back to back, bang, bang, new culture, new language, new team, the whole setup, 21 years old. That's not easy. We should not put the same expectation on Julian Alvarez that we've seen from Erling Haaland. It's not what Erling Haaland's doing is not realistic. It's not normal. So we shouldn't be saying, go on.
Do you know another thing that isn't easy as well? It's that he's done this and he's having to sit here and watch, you know, like I always, if you think about when Lacazette arrived at Arsenal, right, and he got put on the bench for 6 months, and then when they decided to start playing him was when Aubameyang got there. And I always think that's why Lacazette's confidence went. He didn't start. Then when you did start him, it's when Aubameyang's got there, right? You think Alvarez has had to come to, you know, fly thousands of miles. He's only a young kid, and he's having to play second fiddle to Haaland, who's scoring 18 league goals, right? That's daunting. You're thinking, fucking hell, what can I do to catch up with this guy?
Like, what am I doing here? What's my role?
That is like, I mean, one of the things I'm saying with Núñez is give him a bit of time, because you know what, it's a bit unfair because Haaland's come. Alvarez is in the same team. He's having to play second fiddle to this man, and he's still, you know, coming on and doing his job, man. So I think Alvarez he's one I was excited about, and I'm excited to see him in the World Cup. I'm glad that I wasn't sure if he was a starter or not. So.
The people in the chat, you would have seen a second ago, Erling Haaland, our star number 9, has just appeared on your screens once again. He's once again pointing at this time Jashar, who's given us £5. Thank you very much for the super chat, Jashar. He says, fellas, Jesus has been epic for us at Arsenal. His work ethic is mad and has rubbed off on the other players. Do you have any other players we can have? If we were to say goodbye to any other players to go to Arsenal, who would it be right now? Mahrez?
You can have Mahrez. You can keep him.
You all said it at the same time. And the maddest thing is that Steve the other day said to me, if I was Arsenal, I'd come sniffing round Mahrez in the summer.
I agree, man. I agree. I mean, listen, I was buzzing for Mahrez to get his goal last night. Yeah. I think he really needed that after his penalty.
Did you see Pep's reaction?
Yeah, he was like,
I think Pep knows he needs it as well. Good
Can I
finish.
just say, can I cut across you for one sec, Daps? I have a really important thing to say. For the first time in a long time, we have over 100 people in the building. I'm losing my words here now. 100 people in the building with us right now, supporting the channel. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're on the road to 5K. The more love you guys show, the more we can get on the great guests like Daps. Daps is a good friend of the channel. He's always welcome on. But we can get on great people.
Whenever you ask
if you
me,
guys
I'm here.
keep showing love. Listen, 100 people, absolutely amazing. Thank you all so much for coming in. Honestly, it means the world. Dap, sorry, bro. Fire away.
No, I was just. I think it was needed. It's mad when you think our top goal scorer last season was Mahrez.
He was, yes.
Yeah.
That's what a striker
But
does.
yeah, I
so
think
bad.
he really. Did any of you see this? Someone told me that the other day when he missed a penalty, he tweeted, "I'm shit."
I didn't see that.
I looked through it, and but someone said to me, and a few people were going, "Oh yeah, I heard about that," but don't know if it was true or not. But I think he's. Do you know what? I feel sorry for him a little bit because again, I think Mahrez and Walker works really well. They understand each other. When Mahrez cuts in, Walker can overlap, or alternatively, Walker likes to make those little runs inside. Also, Mahrez isn't the best at tracking back, but when you've got Walker there, it's fine because he'll sprint all the way back. And I feel like having Akanji, Stones, and other players playing behind him this season, it's hindered Mahrez a little bit because it's not as fluid as when you've got Foden with Cancelo overlapping or Grealish over there. And I think that hasn't helped Mahrez a bit. Again, to go from he was our top goal scorer last season to go from having to be the guy scoring the goals to knowing when to pass the ball to Haaland. Yeah, I get it. That could be, you have to get on the same page. So, and that's probably affected his confidence. So I think that goal the other day, that's why Pep celebrated. I think Pep knew that's what we need because Mahrez isn't going to the World Cup. Come January or come December the 26th, Mahrez is a player that we really might have to rely on, really, because we don't know who's coming back from that World Cup and we don't know what type of condition they're going to be in. So, Grealish and Foden, we have to be realistic. There's a good chance that Bernardo, Cancelo, and Ruben Diaz go a long way. A good chance. All of a sudden, when you start looking at Bernardo, Cancelo, Grealish, Foden, instantly, Alvarez, we don't know. Mahrez could be very, very important to us in January. So we need him firing. We need him confident.
He's someone we do love, Riyad Mahrez. When we answer those questions, like any players we can give to Arsenal, it's not us saying get rid of Riyad Mahrez. It's just hypothetically, if we were to get rid of anybody right now, just based on recent form.
Yeah. I don't want no one to go. I didn't want Zinchenko to go, man. I miss Zinchenko.
I love Zinchenko.
I love Zinchenko, man. I love
players
Zinchenko.
about the dog. Look, I love players about the dog, and he was like number one fucking dog in that team. Like, as well, like you mentioned the Mahrez thing, I think this is a very obvious thing to say considering the lack of goals he's got. But putting a striker in that team, completely putting a goal scorer in that team will take away his best attribute. He's a goal scorer and winger. Once that went, that was a lot of his back post chances went. To be honest with you, a lot of the goals he scored was off the back post. Haaland's taking that spot now where the ball isn't coming to those areas anymore, and if they are, it's usually Haaland who gets onto them. But in a different system, as we've seen, Mahrez thrives. He does thrive. He really does. But I think as well. Go on.
I was just going to say, I think we're moving in a direction, unfortunately, and I hate to say it. I think the team is being pushed in a direction by Pep and the way we're playing that maybe doesn't fit Riyad Mahrez. Maybe he's not part of that system or what works best. Because I've been saying since the start of the season, I think our best front three is Grealish, Haaland, Foden. Because I think they all offer completely different things. I think Foden suits better at hugging the touchline and coming in on his left-hand foot, and he doesn't mind not getting those goals. It doesn't affect Foden, even though he's getting them. Grealish, we just spoke about what he offers. It's a really unique role. I just don't see a partnership or a trio up front where you go, that's the one that suits Mahrez best. I've not seen any front three where I say, yeah, if you get those front three together, you'll get a good performance out of Mahrez. I think Grealish and Mahrez really don't work. I think they really don't work at all together. I think they both offer almost the exact same thing. The only difference is Grealish has a lot more work rate. They both like to cut in on their strong foot. They both like to do that essentially all the time and maybe get some shots off, try to get some passes through. It just doesn't work. So unfortunately for Mahrez, I don't know what suits him best, what system. But like you said, You need him fit, you need him fresh, because something you can rely on from Mahrez, regardless of how he's playing, is that he's a big game player. He is a big moment player. He hasn't played well this season, but you best believe that if it's not going well for us in a latter stage of the Champions League or in a big game in the Premier League in the end of the season, Pep will look to Mahrez because he's been there. He scored the big goals. He scored winning goals. And you have to put respect on Mahrez for that and hold out for those kind of moments, whether he's playing well right now or not.
Yeah, 100%. You're spot on. He can score a goal like De Bruyne out of nowhere. He can. And
he does. The thing is, there's a similarity between De Bruyne and Mahrez, even though De Bruyne is a much more complete footballer, like hands down, much more complete and better footballer all round. They both do have that massive moment in them, that special moment. Mahrez had the PSG moments. I think he got one against Dortmund as well. Like in that season when we got to the final of the Champions League, where there was a few games behind closed doors, he was an animal. He was like when we were looking towards the team and saying, who's going to be our beast tonight? Who's going to be our king and step up? It was the Algerian king. Yeah, it was. And you have to respect him for that.
Yeah.
He had us singing the national anthem for a while, in fairness. So like, it takes a lot of power to be doing that, in fairness. Like, he had the hold he had on City between the first lockdown season to the kind of the mid to the end of last season was like, he was number one guy. He was the man scoring those goals, getting us out of the situation. Yeah. He scored the Bernabeu, the goal that should have sent us through. He scored that. He was there. But some of the chances that, like, especially seeing him score in the Bernabeu, that was a difficult chance. He's gone up against one of the better goalkeepers in the world. Some of the chances he's missed that season, this season now, it's fucking crazy. I think his confidence completely shot. God love him.
Yeah, it is. It's a confidence thing, massively, I think. Really
he's a confidence player, Riyad Mahrez. He's similar to Sterling in that sense. That you only get the best out of Mahrez. You only got the best out of Sterling when they're playing with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Sterling's last sort of 2 years, he wasn't playing with a huge amount of confidence. He was playing in a system that really didn't suit him, and it was time for him to go. We're sort of seeing that with Riyad Mahrez now. We just have to hope it's not too prolonged. Listen, I could talk about those players all night, particularly Mahrez, because I still do love Riyad Mahrez, and I say this every single week on stream. Keep staying behind Riyad Mahrez, keep backing him, keep showing him support. Don't get in us back too much, because we need all of our players. We need the depth. We need all of our players fit and ready for when shit really gets serious in the second half of the season. We don't want anybody feeling underappreciated, anybody feeling, like they're not able to play at the top level kind of thing. Support them all. Make sure you're showing love. We're going to move on to the Fulham game because it's 20-12 here in the UK and Ireland. We don't want to stay on all night. We've all got stuff to do. But before we do, make sure you have already smashed the like button. 73 likes, about 90 in the building. Smash the like button if you haven't done so already. Like I said, it really, really does help us get out there towards bigger audiences. It helps the channel get bigger and that sort of thing. And subscribe if you're new. We're on the road to 5K. And as always, do show love to Daps and Never a Foul. They are linked in the title of the stream right now. If you're not subscribed to them already, make sure you are subscribed to them. Always streaming, great team over there, pumping out some of the best content, so do show love to them. Right, listen, Joe has just put up our predicted starting 11 on screen for the Fulham game on Saturday afternoon. I believe it's 3 o'clock kickoff. As always though, people, if you disagree with our predicted starting 11, fire your shots at Joe. Fire your shots at Joe. We don't have any say in this. He has made it off what he thinks is going to be the predicted starting 11. But from what I'm looking at right here at first glance, I don't know, can you see it, Daps? I'll call it out in a sec. It looks pretty accurate. Make sure you guys in the chat get your thoughts in on the predicted starting 11. Who do you want to see play? Who do you think shouldn't play? I'll run through it quickly. You guys can give your thoughts, and then we'll talk a bit about the game as a whole. So in nets, Ortega has come out of nets, unfortunately. I'm really impressed with Ortega, by the way. I've been really, really impressed with Ortega. I think he's an extremely accomplished goalkeeper, and I've spoken about in depth how he's providing that healthy competition for Ederson, and that's absolutely massive.
With his feet, man, as well. A couple of passes yesterday I was very impressed with.
Yeah. Absolutely. Ortega is like Ederson, I've said this before, I won't go too much into it. He never had the backup goalkeeper to push him and make him want to keep improving. Claudio Bravo was never going to do it. Zach Steffen, God love him, was never going to do it. Ortega is going to do it. Ortega is going to get the best out of Ederson. Listen, big up Carson.
He's nearly there now. A few more years, he'll be up there.
Yeah, he hasn't. Or Carson hasn't hit his prime yet. We're waiting for Carson just to hit his full potential, and then
like Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah, like Loftus-Cheek, we're still waiting, bro. And Jesse Lingard, we're still waiting. Young up and coming prospects. You know what I mean? So Ederson and nets. We got Cancelo back in on his left hand side beside Laporte and Diaz, and then John Stones comes back into right full back for Joe. Interestingly, no Rico Lewis, even though he stole the headlines the other night. I still think it's the right decision for to put John Stones back in the right full back. Unfortunately for Rico Lewis, even though I do think Lewis will play against Chelsea or at least get a substantial amount of time against Chelsea. Midfield,
Pep will drop him. Pep will not let Rico Lewis play again because he will be managing his ego right now.
Overexposure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important that managers don't overexpose these young players. I'd like to see him play against Chelsea. I hope Calvin Phillips plays against Chelsea. I hope Calvin Phillips is on the bench, maybe against Fulham, gets some minutes. But it's important, like Dap said, to not overexpose these young players. You know, when they're in the limelight and everyone's praising them, to pull them back a little bit, you know, humble them a little bit, and, you know, remember who you are, remember your role. You're doing great, but just remember, like, this is the beginning. Let's not push it. Let's not rush it too much. So Stones at right full back, Rodri, Bernardo, De Bruyne, pretty self-explanatory midfield, and then my front three as usual. I didn't see any of the quotes. I don't know how's the press conference been done about Haaland, but Joe has gone with Grealish, Haaland, Foden as the front three. Now, Rev, I don't know, can you see?
He's in training. He was in training today. Pictures of Haaland in training, along with Manuel, the greatest player to ever kick a football, Kanji, player of the month October. He's back in training. We have literally got everyone coming back. It's really sad. It's coming up rosy at the minute. I think Haaland will play for sure. I don't think he's going to risk.
Do you think that it would be right to play Haaland? I think there's two ways to look at it. You don't want to rush him. You don't want to, you know, risk further injury kind of thing. But also, there's the small matter of the fact that he's not going to the World Cup. Let him blast these last 3 games before the World Cup, and then he gets a 7 weeks off.
I think Haaland wants 20 league goals before the World Cup.
Oh, that would be outrageous. That would be absolutely outrageous. I know he's close to it, but just saying it like that, just saying 20 goals before the World Cup.
It's mad. But I think he will want 20 goals before the World Cup. You know what? I think the media have made a lot more of this Haaland injury than there actually ever was. I think it's been like Pep. If people actually listen to what Pep says, he said, you know, like, he's all right. It's just like every day he's getting better. But there's no point in playing him. But everyone's like, oh, fucking hell, you know, when's he back? And it's like, no, he said there's no point in risking him. That's all it is. Like, I think he will play. I don't know about the Chelsea game because I really don't know how seriously we're going to take the Carabao Cup this season. But I think he will probably start against Fulham and Brentford. I think.
The whole injury thing fits a narrative. Like, it fits a narrative. Oh, he's come over. He was playing through an injury. He's always injured. Look at him now. He's done something to his foot. It's a lot of bollocks. Like, I think Joe just said down the chat, if he was needed to play Sevilla, he plays Sevilla. I think he's fine, personally. I think there was a little bit of there was definitely something. Let's be clear, there was definitely something. But not nearly enough for him to turn around and say, right, I'm sitting this out to the World Cup. He's playing Saturday. Like, I'll put my balls on the line now. He's going to play on Saturday. And you know what? He's going to score as well. He is going to score. That's not too big of a prediction. I think it's a bigger prediction to say that he's going to play at this point. But he's going to play, in my opinion.
He's probably one of the very few players in the squad right now who you can guarantee will give 110% in the remainder of the games before the World Cup. Like, some of them, whether you like it or not, people, some of them as human beings, they will be thinking, I've got a plane to catch to Qatar in 2 weeks' time. I don't want to miss out on some of them who are a little bit older, people like John Stones and even Kyle Walker. I know he's not going to play for us, but they're thinking, could be my last World Cup, potentially. I don't want to risk it.
I respect how much Stones has started the last couple of weeks, because I had a feeling when I saw him back in training, I was like, I don't know if we'll see much of him, because, you know, when Reece James got injured, I was thinking, you know, if you're an England player, you're looking at that thinking, I don't want that to be me, man. And then even more so with Chilwell now, if you're an international player about to go to the World Cup, you're not giving 100%. I don't care what anyone says. Like, there's too many players dropping like flies and missing out on World Cups for, you know, and even more so, we are in a beautiful place. We're playing, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Fulham or Brentford, but we're playing Fulham and Brentford at home. It's games where, you know,
you're expected to win.
We can rest some players if need be. I don't want to sound arrogant, but we can. And if need be, bring them on in the second half to make the change. But yeah, do you know what? I think Pep's the type of manager that would have those conversations with players as well. I think he loves the game enough to be like, look, if the World Cup means that much to you, you might have to put in a shift in the second half, because if we're drawing and we need the win, I'm going to bring you on. But if you're not feeling 100%, then sit it out, because I get it. You don't want to miss a World Cup.
I've read rumors that Pep has had that exact conversation you're talking about with Phil Foden. And Phil Foden has said, I'll be real with you on a 100 one. I am, slightly leaning towards the World Cup right now. I'm starting to gear up for that. He's seeing players like Luis Diaz, Diogo Jota, you talk about Reece James, players around his age, players of his quality and that kind of level who are going to are set to miss out in the competition. And they do get a bit spooked. But my overall point was Haaland, he's one of the players that you can guarantee will give 110% because he's not going to the World Cup, even more so than Alvarez. I mean, that's why I think Haaland will probably play against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup because Alvarez has got a World Cup to worry about. You can guarantee with Haaland, he's going to give 110% against Chelsea. I think Pep will go all out against Chelsea. I've thought about it. I know last week I said maybe otherwise, but I've thought about it. And I think Pep will say, let's just do our best to get through this round of the Carabao Cup and then revisit it after Christmas and see what we're thinking then.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't think it's about the cup when it comes out. I think it's getting one up over our potential title rival, potential Champions League rival. Again, we've lost. He wants to turn around and say, well, look, we've beat them. Before we even played them in the league, we beat them. I want to put a strong team. That's why he is. That's Pep's that guy. Like, Pep
I'm going to be 100. It still haunts me a bit, yeah? If we would have played a better team against Chelsea 2 years ago in the FA Cup semi-final. Remember we played the weekend team
when Stefan
it was for me. It was that one in the FA Cup because we played a weekend team, right? And they won again, and I think that was their second win against us. And it was like I feel that gave them momentum going into the final. I've always thought it gave them that. You know what? We've beat City twice under Tuchel. We can do it again. And
it is a massive psychological thing. Getting one over on your rivals before a big game, or like these things do matter whether you like it or not. But listen, the game at hand on Saturday is of course Fulham. I'm gonna have a look at the table and see where they are now. But
seventh, man, they're flying.
Are they really?
They're like a seventh or eighth. Yeah, like they're picking up results.
I knew they were good. I didn't realize they'd started that well.
Fulham are seventh, with 19 points, just behind Chelsea and just ahead of Brighton. They started off the season abysmally, didn't they? And then they've really clicked into form.
Well, no, they started off getting a point against Liverpool.
Yes. That's not hard to get these days, though, is it? But
all right, now steady.
Well, sorry, I completely forgot about our Anfield disaster. But for other clubs, anyway, it's not hard to get.
Everyone else is easy.
That's fine.
What are we saying anyway? What are we saying about Fulham on Saturday? Is it just one of those games, go in, do the business, pick up the 3 points, move on to the next? Is there anything you think we need to do? Anyone we need to fear? Obviously, Mitrovic is the big name that sticks out in mind.
Our defence can handle any man. Never mind Alexander Mitrovic. The defence at the moment can handle any man. I think what we have to focus on is actually making sure we can put it to bed. I think it's very easy. We can put this game to bed at halftime. Easy. If we go out for it. If we go out and go for this game, take a bit of scruff of the neck, you beat them at halftime. It's fine. But I don't know. I find it crazy because we're going into this game. I only know that they're 7 because I had a look at the table yesterday. Like, I am genuinely sat here from last week saying I'd prefer to play this in Leicester. And they're about 13 places ahead of Leicester. Like, they are way further ahead than Leicester. But I'm sat here like, I'd rather play this, or I don't have any shred of fear going into this. But like, I was shitting myself. I wasn't vocal about it. I was shitting myself for Leicester.
I was.
Yeah.
But this one, I think we rolled Fulham over. You know.
Yeah.
I think we rolled Fulham over.
Yeah. I don't see why not. But then again, I can look at any team at this point, and I know I sound random with my own answer, but why can we not turn over anyone? Why can we not roll over every team at the moment? Because look at what we're dealing with. We're dealing with elite service to the best striker in the world with still unbelievable defenders like Manuel Akanji. I know I keep going on about him, but man's missing out. Fella is missing out on this team, and it's still unbelievable. Like, I'm still looking at that and saying, who is scoring past that? And I know that's the biggest jinx ever. I know they're going to score 2 or 3 now after me saying that, but this defense I'm looking at here, I don't see any holes. I really don't. I think it's our best system that we can play at the minute.
For me, we're in a really fortunate position now going into the winter break, which is that we have 2, as Dap said, without being too arrogant, very, very winnable fixtures. 2 fixtures. I believe they're both at home, aren't they? Fulham and Brighton. Yeah, they're both at home.
And Chelsea's at home as well.
Yeah, exactly. So we have 3 home fixtures, which you need to think about these things. What way you finish the competitions before going into the World Cup is really important for setting precedent for going after the World Cup. You want to come back from the World Cup feeling like, we finished the last part of the season on a high. Let's pick it up from here. And we're also in a great position whereby, yes, we have 2 very winnable games. Our rivals at the minute, Arsenal, are playing a very tough game and going to Stamford Bridge. We could, by Sunday evening, be top of the league. There's an extra incentive there to put in a big performance on Saturday afternoon. What do we think about that?
100%. I think there's always that incentive though that you have to go out and do. I know what you mean. Arsenal playing this big game. Arsenal have a really, really good record at the Bridge. So I'm genuinely going into every weekend now just kind of half expecting Arsenal to win. Never thought I'd say that sentence now, but that's the kind of position I'm at the minute, where City have to win no matter what. City have to win whether Arsenal go out and lose, draw, or win, and that'll be in their head too. They're like, right, we have to make up whatever little ground we have left to make up. We have to make that up, because I think Pep said he wants to go into the World Cup top of the league. He'd be genuinely annoyed if we didn't go into the World Cup top of the league. That's what he wants to do. That's what the players want to do. Like, again, it's a matter of, is this mentality good enough? 100%, 100% good enough. 100%.
I think we do what we have to do, but I'll be honest with you. I think Arsenal also do what they have to do. I think if you look at it, they have been good at the Bridge the last few times they've gone there. Chelsea's form isn't brilliant. Arsenal's form is. I think Arsenal might get quite a big win this weekend. You know, I've just got a sneaky feeling Arsenal might really 3 or 4. Yeah, statement win. Look, I don't think at the moment. I'll still say I don't think it changes anything. I think when we get to the business end of the season, the fact that we've got that know-how is just different. It's everyone comes, and the fact is we've got so many. You see the Southampton game, the Arsenal Southampton game.
Yeah,
they're the type of games that I think are going to cost Arsenal the league this season, because they are the type of games that someone like De Bruyne will step up, and you know, even if we're having an off day in the business end of the season, they're the type of games that we get done. And I think Arsenal will slip up like that. But I do think they'll go into it, and you know, I have to commend them. They have looked good, man. Our boy Arteta, Jesus Zinchenko, we are taking some credit for it. Yet we're shameless like that. They're doing a good job at Arsenal. But, yeah, we win these. We win the Chelsea one. I'm still not sure, but because I don't know how we're going into it. But I think Fulham and Brighton we get done with ease.
I think. I do agree with you 100%. I think if you put Arsenal in that situation last week that we were in, with the whole not being able to break down 10 men at the back, they don't win that, in my opinion. I don't know if that's me sound, again, cocky, but I don't think Arsenal win that last week. I think that will be, again, like you said, the difference in two teams will be City can pull through there. City got a 6'5" Norwegian bloke who can just turn up and bag a goal in that kind of situation. Arsenal have Gabriel Jesus, again, no disrespect intended on him, but he's just not an unbelievable poacher, you know what I mean? Like, do Arsenal have that individual world-class quality that can just grab the other 10 men by the scruff of the neck, pull them out of the hole and say, no, we're winning this? I don't know.
And I think, do you know, last thing on it, I think one thing that Arsenal will start facing more and more, because everyone that, you know, get good, as in become one of the best in the league, they face that teams change the way they play against them, right? So we know that most teams will now play a low block against us, whereas this season started with teams aren't so much thinking that against Arsenal, but every week that they keep winning, teams are going to get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And by the end of this, you know, second half of the season, you are going to find teams are going out and putting 11 men behind the ball against Arsenal. And then it's, do they have the individual quality players that can, you know, grab the game by the scruff of the neck? And I think but we have to commend them, because they, you know what, they've come out of nowhere and they are looking good, man. So it's nice to have a new dance partner.
I don't think whenever we turn around and say we're confident win the league, it's never any burden of disrespect on Arsenal. I just think when it comes down to it, like you said there, in those nitty-gritty games, are they going to have someone to pull them out of the hole? I don't think so personally, but I've been proven wrong 1,000 times in this channel before. But when we say it, we mean absolutely zero disrespect in the sense of Arsenal.
Do you know what? Because I wouldn't feel any disrespect if a Liverpool fan said to me that they feel that they've got more chance of winning the Champions League. I wouldn't feel disrespect. I'd be like, I get it, because you've got history of doing it. I wouldn't see that as disrespectful. It's just, you know, it's common sense. So
we've got
that's the thing. This team is just too well oiled, too experienced. We've been here, we've done that too many times to not beat Arsenal in this race. I mean, if Arsenal do beat Chelsea this Sunday, let's call a spade a spade. They are serious. Like, they are serious. They're not joking
100%,
around.
yeah.
They are going to cause problems in the second half of the season. And both those games against Arsenal in the Etihad and the Emirates, they're going to be absolute blockbusters. I really believe they're going to be firework games. It could be the birth of the new City-Liverpool footballing rivalry. It really could. We could see some serious football there. But in terms of this season for Arsenal, I just think it's a little bit too soon. They have a little bit more to do, a few more players to bring in before you could say, you know what, they do have that X factor. They do have that depth. They do have that experience from this season. The experience they're picking up along the way this season is going to be absolutely massive for them going into next season. Like, their sole priority this year, 100%, is to get top 4. Anything beyond that is an absolute bonus. So they will get top 4 this year. They'll regroup in the summer, add more depth, add more quality, you would think. And if they do believe there's a title push next year, they'll use the experience they've got this season and go forward with that. So this season for Arsenal, I'm still trying not to be too arrogant. I don't want to shit in them too much because I am impressed. I am genuinely impressed with what they've done so far this season. Like, what are they? I saw a stat tonight. I think it was Babs put it up on Twitter. In the Emirates, they're 27 out of 27 points this season. That's pretty outstanding for a team that was leaking goals and conceding points last season in games they really shouldn't. So the turnaround from Arsenal is massive. But in terms of our rivalry with them this season, I just think we're that bit too much of a challenge for them to overcome. If we weren't a thing this season, if City weren't, the beast we are now, I'd say Arsenal really are in with a shout to win this league. It's just we kind of own this league right now, and we need to translate that to Champions League. But listen, there's still 85 people with us in the building right now. It's just gone past midnight. We're going to do our score predictions now in a second, and we'll wrap it up. It's been a long day for poor Daps, man. He's done a lot of streams, and we are really appreciative. We are really appreciative, Daps, for you for coming on. It's always great to have you on. What are you saying?
100%.
Bro still brought the energy, you know what I mean? You can't fucking, what's the word? Can't knock it.
Well, listen, there's more viewers than usual here. Is that the Daps effect? I think so, man. People appreciate Daps. So go show love to Never a Foul as well, people. It's in the title there. Click on Never a Foul and subscribe to them. And subscribe to our channel as well on the road to 5K. Keep smashing the like button. Get your own score predictions in, people. 80 in the building. Get in your score predictions. Who's going to score a goal, as always. And we'll do ours now, and then we'll wrap her up. Rebel, may as well start with you. What are you saying? City versus Fulham, 3 o'clock kickoff. Won't be televised, unfortunately. Daps, are you going to the game?
No, I've got a ticket, but I can't go. So I'm doing a giveaway, which I was going to do tonight. I'll do it on my Instagram tomorrow. My godkid's birthday, so I've got to go to that. I'm going Chelsea and I'm going Brentford.
Well, there you go, people. If you want a ticket to the City Fulham game, go over to. Is it on your Instagram?
Follow me on MCFC Daps Instagram. Just message me. I'll put you in. There
you go, people. If you want to be in with a chance to winning a ticket to the game on Saturday, go check out Daps' Instagram. All the details. South Lower, best place in the stadium to be as well. If you want to go there, check out Daps' Instagram. He'll sort you out. Rebel, your score prediction.
Just to make your night a bit better, Murray, it is televised for us. It is on Premier Sport.
Yes, Daps. In Ireland, there's one TV channel that shows 1 3 o'clock kickoff a week. So our game's on telly here, actually.
It's the worst.
I'm good. I've got a 5 stick.
Worst.
Okay. There's me acting all smug. Us Irish boys having one up and he goes, "No, I've got a fire stick. I've got a fire stick."
Oh, when you use that, you use the Optus
sometimes the commentary is a bit mad, but
do you use the game,
man? Was that?
Optus Sport is just fantastic on the fires. I haven't myself now. The Optus Sport is unreal. But yeah, we have it luckily on telly. I'm at work for it, but of course we'll have it on. Fucking score prediction, Jesus Christ. Operating under the influence of Haaland playing, I'm going to go smooth little 4-0. Go on, so against 7th. And that might be me being smooth, but fuck it, I'm going for it.
Easy money, 4-0, says Rebel. Daps, what do you think, bro?
I was going to say 4, but I'll change it to 3. 3-0. And do you know what? The nil's important to me. Very important to me. More
Clean
important.
Sheets are important.
I just, you know what? I want to see I think our defense hasn't been great this season. You know, I do get that there's been a lot of changes, and that's the reason. But I kind of want to see. I want to see our defense get some more clean sheets. So yeah, 3-0, and I'm going to go with Haaland. Haaland plays. Haaland scores. Minimum of brace.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. I'll go Rodri.
So 3 from Daps and Haaland brace. Dara says 4 and a Rodri goal. Listen, I just want the 3 points, but Daps is right when he says that clean sheets are important. It's massive for the players individually for building momentum and confidence, and being a unit, getting clean sheets. It makes them feel that they're really doing their job right. So the clean sheet is absolutely massive in a game like Fulham. I'm gonna go with Dap's gone 3, Dara's gone 4. I'm gonna join Daps on the 3-0 hype. I'm going to say 3-0. I'm going to say a Haaland goal. And you know the drill, people. I always say it. It's going to happen one of these days. Jack Grealish is going to score a goal. Yeah, I'm predicting it every week. He's bound to score one of them. I'm egging that guy on to score so badly. But there's your predictions, people. I've seen some of yours in the chat. Moji says 5-0. D1 says 3-1. D1 doesn't think we're going to get a clean sheet. Jay Millsy 4-0. Alec 15-0. Okay. I can't see that happening. But listen, people, it's 5 past midnight here. We need to wrap it up. It's been a great stream. As always, an absolute pleasure to have my bro Daps on. Always welcome.
Love to get me on, man. Really appreciate it.
100%, people. Go check out Never a Foul. Like I said, if you haven't done so already, fantastic channel. I'm on there myself every now and again, streaming all the time. We're gonna wrap it up now. Like I said, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 5K. We're getting there nice and fast, and your support is the big factor. Every time you hit the like button, it gets us that bit closer. We'll see you on Saturday night, or no, Saturday night. I'm going out for my birthday. It's my birthday today, so I'm going out.
Oh,
for
happy
a party
birthday, man! Kept that till the end.
He was waiting for everything to flood in at the end. That's why he was doing.
23 years.
Smash like people, his birthday, man. Listen, get those likes up.
Smash that like button and subscribe for my birthday. 23 years young, man. So I'll be out Saturday night, but we'll be back on this channel Sunday. I'll be on the Big Six tomorrow night. We'll do a preview of all the weekend's games. We'll be back here on Sunday night, the usual slot, probably 10, half 10, and we'll talk about the Fulham game, and we'll talk about the other Premier League fixtures. So listen, thank you all for coming in. Still 75 here. Keep smashing the likes, keep subscribing, keep sharing it around, keep showing love to Never a Foul, and we'll see you then. Good night and God bless. Joey Boy, wrap her up.
Salute.
Listen to your heart, tell me who you wanna be. We can always start to believe. Listen to your heart, tell me that you understand.